and I'm going to talk about sports medicine and its fellowship opportunities. I think we need to be champs and not chumps, and we need to get a direction as to how we can get these fellowships and why does it matter. Green, okay. So I would discuss as to who is a sports medicine surgeon, exactly who is a sports medicine surgeon, what he does in terms of the spectrum of pathologies that we treat, why is it considered a lucrative field nowadays, status of this specialty in India as such, and of course fellowship opportunities in India and abroad, and maybe a list of a few opportunities here in India and how to get abroad. So a sports medicine surgeon is also an arthroscopic surgeon. I think arthroscopy is the right word for this because we treat a lot of injuries which are not sports related, which are not in athletes. And I think if you're equally passionate about athletics and becoming an orthopedic doctor, this is the right field to pursue. And it offers a perfect blend, between your two passions which you want to follow and also lead a healthy life at the same time. We as sports medicine surgeons are not exactly sports medicine physicians, but we treat a lot of injuries conservatively and get the athletes back to sports even without doing a single surgery. I think sports surgeon as such is a misnomer, and I think arthroscopy surgeon is a better term because 60% of the ACL tears, the meniscus tears, and the shoulder patients that I see are because of motor vehicle accidents or twisting injuries. So we're not exactly treating sports injuries, but basically ligament injuries or tendon injuries which happen in day-to-day life. It's not that we always treat only young patients. 30 to 40% of my surgeries are rotator cuff repairs, AC joint resections, degenerative meniscus tears in patients above the age of 50. And of course, sports orthopedics is a very wide term. So this can encompass almost everything that a patient would have in terms of an injury while they're trying to stay active or pursue fitness. Joint preservation is a very important part of it, and osteotomies around the joints. Of course, UKRs can be an extended indication because although we are reconstructing one part of the joint, we are probably preserving the other part. And I think we as sports surgeons would definitely want to do as conservative treatment as possible for the patient to save the joint. Treating stiff joints is something that I do a lot in practice, like knee stiffness or shoulder or elbow stiffnesses that come to me, which are not treated in the right way or the proper physiotherapy, and they tend to get stiff. Treating focal cartilage defects by a lot of cartilage transfer procedures, regenerative or preservation procedures is something that is included in this. Recurrent dislocations of the joint, assisted fracture fixation is another extended indication. So in terms of the spectrum of pathologies, we treat a lot of variety, and thus it keeps monotony at bay. I think we're not doing total knee or total hip replacements every day, so it adds a lot of variety to our practice. But we are still in specifics, and we cater arthroscopy of all major joints like knee, shoulder, elbow, hip and ankle, and maybe wrist to a certain extent, although I don't do the wrist currently. It also encompasses ligaments, tendons, or cartilage preservation surgeries, mal-tracking surgeries, may include fracture surgeries because this can also happen while anyone is getting active or playing sports, etc. Regenerative medicine is a very important part of it, and open complex reconstruction, muscle transfers is an extended indication. So the spectrum can be huge. Almost any injury that can happen while the patient is trying to be active is a sports-related injury and can be treated by you in your practice. So the commonest surgeries that I end up doing are the ligament injuries, the major ligament injuries of the knee, multi-ligament knee reconstructions or repairs. Meniscus repairs is a very common. I do rotator cuff repairs, AC joint or long biceps pathologies, instability surgeries. Revision of failed surgeries done elsewhere. Partial knee replacements is something that I've started, and we do it with a Mako-assisted technique in our practice. Less common surgeries that we do are arthrolysis of the knee, shoulder, elbow, shoulder replacements, superior capsular reconstructions, high tibial osteotomies, cartilage restoration procedures, and fractures can add up. Uncommonly here, I think we do quadriceps, tendoachilles or biceps tendon ruptures and we repair them. Tendon, tennis, elbow releases or ankle impingement surgeries, and elbow replacement is something that is very rare now. So why is it topping the charts nowadays? I think the idea of it being minimally invasive or keyhole, and telling the patient that we are doing a laser surgery, although laser is not involved, but everyone wants that, is very pleasing. I think in vogue in almost all the fields of surgeries nowadays, even the non-orthopedic fields. The advantages are innumerable. Less blood loss, less chances of infection, earlier recovery, better visualization, low chances, of delayed healing, rapid return to work, stay. So all these are very important for the patient. Joint preservation, I think the idea of preserving the native joint is something that makes the patient really happy, and avoiding full-blown arthritis for which the patient would need a knee replacement earlier in life is something that all patients want. And who doesn't want to be active? Who doesn't want to avoid so many advances, technical advances have definitely, I think, better visualization, better cameras, better equipments available, advanced techniques in terms of, how we try to heal the ligament or the tendon or the cartilage. Repair rather than reconstruct principle is something that is adding up. We can add some biology to every repair that we do now. We can augment it with certain techniques. We can do regenerative injection therapy, which can help the patient at least on a temporary basis. Joint preservation surgeries, are a part of it, and also doing arthroscopy to assist in periarticular fracture fixation is definitely helping this field. And arthroscopy as a skill set definitely can add up to the joint surgeon. So even if you're not pursuing arthroscopy specialty and you are a joint surgeon or an arthroplasty surgeon in particular, it will actually make you a complete joint surgeon and definitely adds up a lot to your portfolio. There are no hassles of calling in a ghost surgeon to do your surgeries. Even if you're doing arthroscopy, maybe like a 30% of your practice, it saves a lot of revenue on that. And also, I think you will always be held up one above your peers if you have arthroscopy as a skill set and you can do complex reconstructions with minimally invasive techniques. So I think the status of this specialty in India is definitely advanced now. I think a lot of expertise is available. A lot of surgeons are inclined towards this dedicated specialty, willing to return back home, even after they are trained abroad and after a good overseas training. Knee arthroscopy, I think, is a very common skill set now. Unlike when we were residents, most surgeons now are able to do ACL reconstructions and meniscus tears independently in their practice now, even before they actually get out of residency. Technology is definitely helping a lot in this field. Fellowship opportunities are way more than we actually had at our time, both in India and abroad. And I think even foreign trained surgeons are willing to mentor you for this field. Public awareness and readiness, I think, is also improving. So people know now about this field, maybe lesser than laparoscopy, they would still equate to that. But I think it's still getting popular and people are getting aware that, the injuries that if we treat in time and avoid arthritis, we can definitely try to save the joint. I think there are certain things that India is still lagging so far in this field. I think there's a technology lag in terms of the availability. So we used to use a lot of photographs for ACL reconstructions for many patients in the US, which is still lagging. But I think we are having some companies who have made these allografts available. Osteochondral allografts, like full pieces of cartilage transfers of the upper end of tibia or the femoral condyle available yet. But where something that is in vogue right now in the US is still not available here. The technology is available for some cases, but it's a very costly effect, like SCR graft, augmentation of cuff with patches is something that is very expensive currently. And like the reverse shoulder. So whenever I do a reverse shoulder, the MRP that is charged in our hospital is about 3 lakhs. So it is even more expensive than we are actually charging for the whole package of the surgery. And I think we need some good made in India alternatives to surgery that we can now do very, very effectively. Dedicated arthroscopy surgeons are available, but less, I think, because surgeons are not willing to, subspecialize or just be focused on the specialty of arthroscopy. I think automated streamlining of the patients of this subspecialty is not still, is in amateur in the market right now, but it's getting there. And I think arthroscopy of other joints like elbow, ankle, and hip is very neat in our country. Talking about the sports medicine or the arthroscopy opportunities in India, I think they are widely available now, but I think the good question is to know who your mentor is, to know, if you're the chosen one, if you're a lucky one in terms of how much hands-on you'll get, because I think in arthroscopy, unlike in spine surgery, just like Dr. Siddharth mentioned, arthroscopic skills are very important for you because you're doing the surgery closed and, it's minimally invasive. So I think getting some hands-on while you are assisting anyone in your fellowship is very important. Like in sports injury, when we were there, even in India, I mean, we used to get some hands-on at the end of the fellowship or at the end of every case, and also, some little tits and bits in terms of the steps that we can do independently, like harvesting the graft in one case, preparing the tunnels in the other case. So some sort of hands-on is required. Otherwise, you developing the skill set of arthroscopy is something that is difficult. And we should all see if it's an observership, how long it is. I think it's a good way to start, but not a good way to end in terms of, if you want to start your practice independently. Is it a one-to-one mentorship model? So ask the previous fellows exactly, how they feel about the program. Internal or external audits are something that are not available in India. So in the US, when we were doing our clinical fellowship, we had the right to audit, like do a blind survey for our particular program as to how they treated us, what kind of surgeries did we get in terms of our independent hands-on, how was the clinic experience, OPD experience. And this is something that is still not very common in India. And I just try to search for some opportunities available in India. So the Indian Arthroscopy Society fellowships of about 4 to 6 weeks duration are available and can be applied. Dr. Prathamesh Jain has a very nice fellowship, which is a very high volume fellowship. Although you have to pay for the fellowship to get in as a fellow, but it's a good experience. That's what I've heard. These are the other fellowships, one at Ganga, the other at St. John's. MUH has its own set of fellowships. These are some individual private practitioners who have their own fellowships, and most of them give you a lot of experience in terms of what you see and the variety of cases that you see, especially if you're coming from a residency program which has not given you enough exposure to arthroscopy. We recently have started a fellowship at Wokhart Hospitals. The IOA Inland Fellowships is another website that you can check. Sports Injury Center also has a very good high volume setup in terms of arthroscopy, and you can join in as a SR or a FNB candidate. These are the fellowships in South Korea, which I think my friend Dr. Prashant is going to talk about later in the day. So some fellowships that I could search. Australia, I think, is a good setup because it gives you 1 year programs. These are clinical programs, one-to-one mentorship. Dr. Bajwa, a good friend, is going to talk about it later in the day. So there's this website which you can check and apply. I think blanket emailing to all programs if you want to get out of India and do a specialized fellowship is very important. I think being really persistent and constant in your search to get there is something that is needed, just like elaborated by other speakers. Dr. Nikhil is going to talk about how to get to the UK and his experience. The ESA course is a very good website in terms of the fellowships that it has in various countries. And then US, I think US is a great place to learn, especially if you can do your steps in time. I think it's very important to plan ahead to see yourself getting there. Otherwise, I think it takes a little bit of a time to get there. I gave my steps after my post graduation, but some people I know have given their steps while they were residents, where their program was not heavy in terms of what they had, and they landed up with a fellowship earlier than me. So you need to give your US medical licensing steps, including step three. And the SportsMed is a very good AOSSM website about the current opportunities available, especially if you have done your steps to a certain extent. Completion of the steps, like I said, is very important. Being ECFMG certified is very important to actually apply it for the San Francisco match, which is a very complicated process and a very competitive way of getting there. But I think once you get there and you come back to India or you stay there, either ways, I think it definitely helps you and gives you a certain degree of benefit over others, because these training programs help you. So they pay you well. You're a PGY 6 when you join. Your salary is like a 90,000 a year, and you live comfortably. You have a good quality of life, but at the same time, you are training in the best environment in the world. I mean, setting. Thank you so much for your kind attention.